12:42 in the morning, March 8th, 2014. A Boeing 777 lifts off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. 239 people on board, luggage packed, pillows adjusted, some already asleep. Destination? Beijing. Flight time? About 6 hours. A routine flight, nothing unusual. In the cockpit sits Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, 18,000 hours of flight experience, one of Malaysia Airlines' most trusted pilots. Next to him, First Officer Farik Hamid, just 27, on literally his final training flight before becoming a full captain. Everything is perfect. At 1:07 a.m., they reach cruising altitude, 35,000 feet above the South China Sea. Then, at 1:19 a.m., air traffic control says, Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh, 120.9, good night. And the pilot calmly replies, good night, Mass 370. Those were the last words ever heard from that aircraft. Seconds later, it vanished from radar.
At a Malaysia Airlines flight
MH370.
Flight MH370
disappeared en route to Beijing.
70, we are ready, requesting for 310 to Beijing. Malaysia 370.
Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
For the next 18 minutes, Vietnamese air traffic controllers wait. They try to reach the plane. Nothing. No mayday, no distress call, no emergency signal. Just silence. And what happens next is almost unbelievable. It takes 4 hours for an emergency response to even begin. By the time a formal search is declared at 6:32 a.m., the plane should have already landed in Beijing. The world starts searching the South China Sea. 34 ships, 28 aircraft, a massive international operation. But 4 days later, a bombshell drops. Malaysian military radar had secretly tracked something very different. MH370 didn't just disappear, it turned around. It flew back across Malaysia, then northwest over the Andaman Sea, moving in the exact opposite direction of Beijing. Someone, or something, had deliberately changed course. So if the plane turned around, where did it go? Here's where it gets fascinating. Even though the plane's transponder was switched off, cutting it off from standard radar, it was still doing something automatic. Every hour, it was sending a tiny electronic ping to an Inmarsat satellite. Not GPS data, not location data, just a simple, hey, I'm still here. Like a phone that's on airplane mode, but still trying to find a Wi-Fi signal. There were 7 of these pings. Scientists called them satellite handshakes. Using the angle of the satellite signal, analysts drew arcs, giant circles across the globe, showing where the plane could have been at each moment. When they combined this with estimated fuel levels and flight speed, they narrowed it down to a stretch of ocean 2,000 kilometers west of Australia. They called it the 7th Arc, an area so remote, so deep, so utterly silent, it's sometimes called the loneliest stretch of ocean on Earth. What followed was the largest underwater search operation ever conducted. $160 million spent, 3 years of searching. Robotic submarines mapping the ocean floor, sonar systems scanning cliffs and trenches kilometers deep. And then, in July 2015, something. A piece of wing, called a flaperon, washed up on Reunion Island, off the coast of Madagascar, confirmed to be from MH370. Then more debris, a total of 27 pieces found across various islands in the Indian Ocean. The plane had definitely gone into the water. But the main wreckage, the black boxes, the answers, still missing. A second search company, Ocean Infinity, took on the challenge under a dramatic no-find, no-fee deal, meaning they'd only get paid if they actually found the plane. They mapped volcanoes and underwater cliffs. They pushed technology to its limits. Still nothing. With no physical wreckage and no definitive answers, theories exploded. Theory 1. The pilot did it. Some investigators believe Captain Zahari deliberately took the plane down in a murder-suicide. Evidence? The plane made a sharp manual 180-degree turn that couldn't have been done on autopilot alone. And investigators found a flight simulator in his home where he had reportedly plotted a route into the southern Indian Ocean. But here's the problem. There was zero evidence of depression, financial trouble, or personal crisis. No note, no motive, nothing. Theory 2. Terrorism. 2 passengers boarded using stolen passports. Red flag, right? Not so fast. Interpol investigated and concluded they were almost certainly economic migrants, young men trying to reach Europe for a better life, not terrorists. Theory 3. The ghost flight. This is the theory most investigators consider most likely. A sudden fire or catastrophic pressurization failure causes oxygen levels to drop. The pilots and everyone on board slowly lose consciousness. The plane, on autopilot, continues flying for hours in total silence over thousands of kilometers of empty ocean until it simply runs out of fuel and falls. A plane full of sleeping passengers that never woke up. No villain, no conspiracy, just a terrible mechanical tragedy. For years, the trail went completely cold. Then, a retired British aerospace engineer named Richard Godfrey announced something extraordinary. Using a little-known system called WSP-ARNet, a global network of amateur radio operators that monitor weak signal disturbances in the atmosphere,
back through the data and out of that tracking MH370. I'm sure they will be able to find the act.
Godfrey claims he can actually track where MH370 disturbed radio waves along its path. Think of it like this. The plane cut through the atmosphere like a knife through water, and those ripples, still detectable. Using this data, Godfrey says he has pinpointed the exact crash location, about 4 kilometers underwater, on the 7th arc. He believes the area was searched before, but the terrain is so extreme, so jagged with underwater cliffs and volcanic ridges, that the wreckage could have slid into a crevice and been completely messed. He's now calling for a new focused search, just a 40 nautical mile radius. And here's the chilling supporting evidence. Drift analysis of ocean currents shows that if a plane crashed exactly at Godfrey's coordinates, the debris would naturally float toward Madagascar, which is exactly where it was found. The pieces fit. 239 people got on a plane